Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Breakfast Club Entertainment proudly presents to you the media champions of the world, Central News Network, Fox, MSNBC, and the American Broadcasting Company. And if you think that's fake news, we got two words for you: Al Jazeera. Hey everyone, it is Tuesday here at the Breakfast Club, and I am your host, Sister Danger. And this week's topic for the round robin is the modern media. I really wish that I had something less cynical to say about today's media, but I do very much liken it less to journalism and more to news entertainment. It's sort of newsy, but mostly it seems to serve to keep people entertained while feeling involved. I'm pretty much convinced that there is a spectrum on which the general populace of any particular place will happily exist. They will live out their lives. They will not revolt. They may get angry now and again or upset, but there isn't going to be an uprising. There isn't going to be mass striking of people, and their work. There may be the occasional walkout or whatever. But I really kind of think that there is this spectrum where as long as you can keep the public entertained enough, safe feeling enough, and feeling as if they are in some way, shape, or form a part of the society or world around them, as long as they have all of their basic needs met, so food and water, and they can care for their families, that those few things being met, I think that it would be really a difficult task to find people willing to upset that basic comfort level in order to have some kind of a revolution or an uprising. And to those ends, that's sort of how I view the purpose of what we call the modern media. It is really less to tell us truthful and honest news and more to keep the public satiated so that nothing goes off too far in one direction. People can't think about or have opinions on things that they don't know about. So to these ends, it is extremely powerful, as Gothic Funk was saying with Rupert Murdoch and whatnot, that we have a very few people who basically are controlling. They have built a dam that we call the media, and they are controlling the flow of information and what trickles out to the public. To be entirely honest, I don't really put all that much stock in mainstream media. It is a window that we have into kind of the world around us, at least we think we do, but the light that shines in through that window is ultimately coming through dusty panes, and there is virtually nothing that we see that isn't bought, paid for, that isn't edited and spliced, diced, rehashed, put together in order to make whatever narrative basically the highest bidder wants to have made. I kind of have come to the conclusion that the only way to get any sort of real story is basically to kind of take the bones that are thrown to us by the modern media and see if we can't chuck them into a pot and boil them into some kind of a stew. Maybe, to follow the analogy, just the multiple news sources. Hopefully you can find, original sources, and those things all kind of get thrown into the pot until you have something edible. Since I don't really think, though, that is plausible for the vast majority of the modern first world, it isn't tenable to think that everyone in the world is going to go out and verify, and that every single thing that you ever read, you're going to be on Snopes trying to fact check it or whatever. So I really don't think that we're going to see any kind of a turnaround in the mainstream media. It doesn't seem like a realistic thing to expect to have happen. There's no way to enforce accountability, and I don't think that we're ever going to see some kind of, surge in public outcry such that it will, actually force mainstream media to change its tune. If we're lucky, however, I do kind of like to entertain the notion that we will see a revolution, and I hold out hope increasingly, certainly more than, when these things began, but I find myself liking alternative media more and more, and I would love to see just this massive uprising of alternative news sources, even though right now I kind of think that the biggest alternative news sources we have aren't really all that much better than the mainstream. They're basically partisan foghorns for whatever team they're playing for, and I guess it is what it is. I still hold out hope, though, that maybe if they are truly able to, if they become enabled enough to challenge the mainstream media, that perhaps they'll get their act together and start being more legit, as opposed to being sort of the alternative to the talking heads that we see, on places like Fox News Network. I really can't say quite the same for blogs, because blogs seem as though they largely contribute to the realm of clickbait headlines. I don't know. If I have my way about it, we would in fact see a veritable uprising of new print, small press, sites like YouTube and other vlog hosting platforms like Patreon, maybe little places like Vimeo, although I think Vimeo only allows really short videos. I would love to start seeing people directly fund alternative media in order to enable the people that do it and have a passion for it to actually be able to go out and participate in true investigative journalism with integrity, right? To be able to have the time to fact check stuff and follow up on leads that are given to them, et cetera, to go to press conferences and other things like that. So I don't think that ever in my life I have lived in an era where the news was anything like actual news. All of that was sort of before my time, and I think before the true power of the ability to have global television and internet and a reach around the world to just masses and masses of people, before any of that was realized. And I never lived in that time, so I don't know really what it's like to have an honest media. I imagine, though, that it sure would be nice to try. That's all I say on that subject. Everybody have a good night, and Nathan Brendan Masters will be up with his thoughts on this topic tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody. I will see you all on the flip side.